Right, and now Cagdas, over to you. If you press the thing in the middle there.
Okay, yeah. I assume everyone can hear me now. Okay. First of all, let me just tell you that I'm from Daymer, Turkish and Kurdish Community Centre, as Kate has announced. We've been around since early 90s, where there was an influx of Turkish and Kurdish communities migrating from Turkey. We established with the intention of supporting that community, but since then we've always made every effort to ensure that the Turkish-speaking community take part in the struggle in this country, and that's what we will continue to do. We've been actively part of the cuts in this country, and we'll continue to do that. But as you know, as the Greek comrade has mentioned, it's an exciting times in Europe, and I also want to talk a bit about Turkey. A comrade has just recently been to Turkey with trade union representatives from RMT and UT, and he's written a bit about his observation. I'm not a great fan of reading a paper, but I think it'll be a good picture of what's happened, what's happening, and hopefully it'll give as much detail as possible to the conference. Now, as you know, the Gezi Park protest, which initially started on the 27th of May at Gezi Park in Taksim Square against the transformation of the park into a shopping centre, was initiated by Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and has faced excessive use of police force, whom sprayed tear gas, water cannons filled with harmful acid at the people who were peacefully exercising their right to protest. Now, if we look over the last 10 years, we can see a government in Turkey where youth and women and workers have suffered enormously from the dictatorial policies of the Prime Minister and his government. Now, all those affected by years of various forms of oppression are now standing up against the government and who claims to be democratic. For years, the international platform of governance, including UK, has portrayed the Turkish government as democratic and progressive. But during the decade-long regime, the AKP government has a whole list of events that cannot be considered as democratic, and has made a large proportion of people in Turkey suffer. Now, just the comrade has written a list of issues that has caused people to kind of stand up against in Turkey. He mentions the letting free of rapists. Now, in Turkey, domestic violence against women, a blind eye is turned on. Charging girls as young as 13 for being raped rather than charging the rapist. And it's been really common in the last few years in Turkey. The education reforms in Turkey, the attempt to remove science from the syllabus in Turkey has been a major issue. The bombings in Reyhanlı and Roboski, which killed many Turkish citizens and Kurdish friends in the Kurdish region. The request for at least 3 children from women. Now this is just ridiculous. Imagine David Cameron getting up on TV and talking to every woman and saying, from now on I want only 3 children at least 3 children from your family. That kind of request from a prime minister is ridiculous. He's gone onto TV to say to people that anyone who drinks alcohol, even a sip, are alcoholics. He's basically ripped apart workers' rights, and many issues invading the personal lives of individuals in order to shape it accordingly to the government's conception. And the Gezi Park protest was the last straw which spilled the cup and ignited an uprising of the most and widespread people's movement in the history of the Turkish Republic. The uprising has brought about the unification of people from all backgrounds in Turkey. Turks, Kurds, Armenian, atheists, Muslims, Alevis, and so on. Now, I've been to various protests in this country with a very number of Turkish communities, but there are so many people that I've never walked with now I'm able to walk with. The fact that this protest in Turkey has brought us together for a common issue, it's a very exciting time. We're now able to unite with all forms of communities in London, especially those, for example, I've never, even though I'm Turkish, I've never walked under a Turkish banner in my whole life, and now that I'm walking with these guys, well, we have a lot of differences, but at the moment we're happy to put that to the side and unite against the dictatorship of the Turkish government. In Turkey there was a solidarity group formed, and it's made up of 100 different organisations, political parties, community centres and trade unions of all sorts, and they've entered into talks with the Turkish government. Unfortunately, it hasn't been a great success. Following the talks with the government told Taksim Resistance representatives that they need to finish their protest without even discussing their demands. And the demands are very reasonable. They basically didn't want the public space in the central park in Istanbul not to be turned into a shopping centre. It's just a very reasonable demand, but they've been treated as vandals, they've been treated as terrorists, and so on. Eventually, the Gezi Park protests have been dispersed. The use of excessive force by police until now has captured the attention of people all around the world, which the Prime Minister tries to cover up with the excuses and censorship. Up until today, pro-government media, which initially refrained from showing the protest, estimate that more than 120,000 tear gas capsules have been thrown at protesters alongside the use of chemical substance, despite the fact that Erdogan himself criticises Bashar al-Assad for assaulting his own people. So far, four protesters have died, one of them by bullets, and around 7,000 people have been injured. The people have learned a great deal from the uprising. It has shown to the people the role of the mainstream media. It's ridiculous, actually. I really feel like the need to mention this, that there's thousands of people on the streets in Turkey, and the Turkish mainstream media were putting a documentary about penguins. It's just ridiculous. And what's good now is people realise that those media are always against them, probably have always been against them, and that's what they've realised. But now that there's discussions in Turkey by the Turkish community saying that, well, there's always been problems in that Kurdish region. Imagine the way that they put those issues towards us. We probably haven't seen the whole picture. And people have even started saying sorry to the Kurdish people. And that's how progressive this movement in some ways is. As a result of this whole oppression, different groups in the community have been pulled into the struggle against the AKP government. Celebrities, doctors, lawyers, actors, authors, students, employed, unemployed and retired. The widespread anti-government uprising in Turkey, which sprung on 27th of May, is a scattered and unorganised movement. It includes many members of different social classes who have outstripped the capacity of this subject of organisation, who had not the strength of leading the masses to meet with its demands. The expressive need to organise and be disciplined if the people are to achieve their main objective. I'm just going to finish with the last paragraph. The Arab Spring in the Middle East, the uprising in Brazil, England, Turkey, Greece. Hopefully for now we can be considered as part of Europe, just so we can have your solidarity. All show us that it's important more than ever to be prepared, organised and united in the resistance against the fierce anti-public policies which is being implemented by governments worldwide. There's a probability of an uprising anywhere in the world, including the UK, which means we must be joining our strengths and take active roles with an organisation that is willing to fight for the interest of the working class people as a whole, without creating a division between race, ethnicity, colour, sexuality and any other background. The only division is between those who have and those who have not. Daymer Youth has always been, and I guess it's probably fair to say not just youth, but Daymer as a whole, has always been preparing its members and affiliates to organise and fight back against the unfair policies of the UK government, which promises nothing but a future of misery. I think what I would like to end with is to say, we're not here to just show solidarity with the Turkish people in Turkey. We want the Turkish people living in this country, we need to mobilize. There's a great momentum because of the uprising in Brazil, because of the uprising in Turkey, and we need to turn that momentum into the issues that we face in this country, because there's so many young people who have probably gone onto the streets in this country who probably never have done so, even though it's not an issue in this country in terms of what's happening in Turkey. But we need to turn that momentum, that passion, into fight against the cuts in this country. And that's what Daymer will always continue to do. It will try and work closely with the trade union movement in this country, and that will be the best way of solidarity with the Turkish people in Turkey, with the Greeks in Greece, and all the other resistance in other countries around the world. Thanks for listening.
Thanks very much, Cagdas. Before we move to discussion, could I just check if Ricardo Ferreira from Bloco has come yet? No? Or anyone from Citizens Plebiscite Against Austerity in Spain? No? Okay.
There is someone from Spain who can speak. Who's here.
Okay. Conrad from Spain? Would you like to?